All right, guys. We're gonna get through some of this first part pretty quickly. This is basically adding and subtracting fractions with equal denominators. This, of course, is with the summer school GISD curriculum PowerPoint. Next slide says, what is a fraction? Guys, at this level, you know what a fraction is. A fraction is basically a part of a whole. So if there were three complete red parts to that, that would be a whole pie. But what happened is somebody came and took a chunk out of that pie. So that's now not a whole pie. It's a part of a pie. It's 2/3 of a pie. It's a fraction of a whole pie. So a fraction is basically a part of a whole. I want to go to this slide because I don't have the animations here, but this basically says what is the correct fraction. Okay, so if we're looking at this and we want to know the correct fraction, it has the answer choice 6/8 and 3/4. Well, it says both are correct. These are what you call equivalent fractions. These are equivalent fractions. They're basically fractions that are equal to each other. So this next part talks about equivalent fractions and how do we find equivalent fractions. So if I'm looking at this slide right here, so we have the fraction 1/3. It says that we're going to multiply that by a fraction version of 1. And what do you mean by a fraction version of 1? 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6. Those are all fraction versions of 1. So if I multiply this by 2/2, 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So the equivalent of 1/3 is 2/6. 1/3 times 3/3, we have 3 times 1, that's 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. The equivalent here is 3/9. The equivalent here is 5/15. The equivalent here, if we multiply by 25/25, is 25/75. Those all are the same fraction as 1/3. Let's keep it pushing. Another way that you can do that is by dividing, okay? So you got 24/36. If we divide both of those by 2/2, you get 12/18. If you divide by 3, you get 8/12. All of these are the exact same fraction. They're equivalent fractions. All right, so now looking at this slide here, it says write two equivalent fractions to these two. Pause the video for practice purposes and go ahead and write down what you think those equivalent fractions will be. All right, I'm assuming you paused it. So if you multiply by 2/2, you would have gotten 6/14. And if you multiply by 3/3, you would have gotten 9/21. The second one, 2/2, would have given you 12/30. 3/3 would have given you 18/45 for that one. Let's keep it moving. So now we're at the actual adding and subtracting with equal denominators parts. Now this is simple and this is straightforward, okay? If the denominators are the same, all you do is add across, all right? So we're looking at this and you have 3/8 plus 1/8, right? The denominators are the same, so you can add them, okay? So you basically add straight across. 3 plus 1 is 4. So that gives you 4/8. However, 4/8 can be reduced to 1/2 if you divide both of these by 4/4. 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. That's going to be the most critical thing here, is making sure that you reduce these fractions. Subtraction. Same concept. The denominators are the same. We're just going to subtract across the numerators. So we have 5/7 minus 2/7. That gives you 5 minus 2, right? Which is 3. So the answer is 3/7. I want you guys to take some time and try these two. Pause video. Try those. I'm assuming that you paused the video. So now we're looking at 2/8 plus 5/8. That answer is 7/8. And then you're looking at 1/6 plus 3/6. That answer is 4/6. However, 4/6 can be reduced. 4/6 can be reduced by 2. So we have here 4/6. And both of those can be reduced by 2/2. Don't judge me by my ugly 2's. All right, so that gives you 2 And then 6 divided by 2, 3. So the answer would be 2/3. Let's go back here. Keeping it moving. All right, so I want you guys to pause the video and I want you guys to try these two. All right, I'm assuming that you have paused the video. So you have 13 minus 7, which is, you got it, 6. So that becomes 6/16. So let's come back here to our whiteboard. And I think I said that was 6/16. Was that correct? So we got 6/16. Oh, that's an easy one. 6/16. Both of those can be reduced by 2. So if we reduce 6 by 2 and 16 by 2, you end up with 3/8 as the answer to that one. Let's take a look at this second one. You have 11 minus 6 because the denominators are the same. 11 minus 6 is 5, and that's 5/23. Both of those are prime numbers, so you don't have to worry about reducing those two. Okay? So, this example introduces the concept of an improper fraction, all right? So, you have 3/8 plus 7/8. 3 plus 7 gives you 10, right? That's 10/8. We can't deal with that. We don't work with improper fractions. So this is what happens. Take a look at this. Is this the right slide? Here we go. So what happens is this. They break this 10/8 up into two separate fractions. They break it up into 8/8, which is a whole fraction, which is 1. And then whatever is remaining, which is 2, because 8 plus 2 is what gives you 10. Whatever is remaining, they put that over the denominator of 8. So you essentially end up with 1, because here's my 1 whole, 8/8, and 2/8. Now 2/8 can be reduced by 2. 2 divided by 2 gives you 1. 8 divided by 2 gives you 4. So the correct answer for this fraction is 1 1/4. All right. If we're looking at this next example, these are just a couple more that you can see. We got 5/6 plus 3/6. That gives you 8/6, right? That's an improper fraction. So we go down to our next line. We have 8/6. That is equivalent to 6/6. Here's my whole, because I'm putting whatever the denominator is, that number is duplicated in the numerator. 6/6, and that's how you get that whole. How much is left over? 2. All right. So coming back over here, we have our 1 whole. There's 2 left over. So that becomes 1 2/6. However, 2/6 can be reduced. Both of these can be divided by 2/2, right? 2 divided by 2 gives you 1. 6 divided by 2 gives you 3. So the correct answer is 1/3. This is a packed lesson. I'm going through this really fast, guys, but I am available through Google Meets to help break this down for you and talk about this a little bit more if we need to. I want you guys to try these two. I want you to pause the video and try these. All right, hopefully you guys had a chance to work that out. I'm now in my whiteboard. Let's look at this. 3 plus 2 gives you 5, and that's 5/4. Okay, so now we need to break that down into, we have 4/4. Okay, that's 4/4. And how much is left over? That's 1/4. Okay, so what do we have? We have 4/4, which is 1 whole, and what's left is 1/4. So the answer to that question should have been 1 1/4. Let's take a look at our next one. Scroll down a little bit. Excuse my 7s. They're a little ugly, but it's okay. We're gonna ignore it. We're gonna roll with it. And I hope that that's 9/7. Let's take a look back. Yeah, 9/7. I couldn't read my own writing there for a second. All right, so 5 plus 9 is 14. That's 14/7. Okay. So if we break this 14/7 down, that's 7/7 plus 7 over 7, right? Because there's 7 left over. So what happens here is you have 1, 2. So the answer to this question is actually 2. And you can see that expressed here as the fraction 14 over 7, which we'll talk about later, is really a division problem, which is 14 divided by 7. Let's go back here to our fraction practice. And our next section is mixed numbers. I'm going to stop right there, and I'll do mixed numbers on a completely separate video so that YouTube don't tell me that this is too long. All right, you guys, check that out. Getting ready to post this next one here momentarily. I'll catch you in a second. Peace.